This video is brought to you by my two books, Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist and The Blues Guitar Bible. Want to learn about modes, harmony, scales, chord substitution and keys? Or maybe you're interested in supercharging your blues guitar rhythm and lead chops. Whatever you're interested in, I guarantee you will be hitting the fast lane to progress with either of these works. Both feature video demonstrations and tutorials, loads of tabs and jam tracks to play along with, and I promise you, everything is explained in crystal clear plain English. Check out the links in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. No prizes for guessing which iconic blues guitar player I was performing a little bit of a tip of the hat to there. A little bit of a tribute to Mr. Stevie Ray Vaughan, obviously. I've got to admit I was a little bit late to the party when it came to Stevie, largely because of geographical location. Where I was living from about 1984 till the late 80s, so like most of the mid and late 80s, it was a bit of a rural location, and it was a couple of bus rides even to find a shop that would sell records, and that was basically a branch of Woolworths. And, you know, you were well served if you wanted the Human League's latest offering or whatever Depeche Mode had just released, you know, whatever other awful fodder was in the top 40 in the mid to late 80s. But Stevie Ray certainly wasn't on the shelves, and it wasn't until I moved back to the relatively cosmopolitan, and I'll be honest, the word relatively is doing a lot of heavy lifting there in that sentence, the relatively cosmopolitan locality of where I am now, back on Teesside, that, you know, I could actually find some of his music. I've been reading about him in guitar magazines for a while, and you know, I was wondering what all the fuss was about, and boy did I find out. And so that was just my little, as I say, my little tribute, my little tip of the hat to Stevie's iconically unique playing. And here's some information on what I was doing there.
Solo explanation.
Right then, so it's basically a 12-bar blues in G, and in terms of note choices, G minor pentatonic scale. Various positions up and down the neck, and we can bring in one or two other notes, usually based upon what the chord is, which chord is happening at the time. Each one of the three chords in a 12-bar blues will have a note that's not in the minor pentatonic scale. So there's my G7, C7 and D7. The G7 has a B note in it. So I can take a standard little minor pentatonic lick and turn that into a G7 lick by bringing the B note in. I can turn it into a C7 lick by bringing the E note in from the C7 chord. Like that. And do the same thing with the D7 by bringing in the F sharp note. Like that. Okay, or something like that. Anywhere you want to kind of land on the note that's relevant to each chord. And in terms of tone, strat, fairly obviously, I find Stevie's sound is best approximated by going for the middle pickup setting. And what you can also do, which is what I did in that example earlier, is I had a little bit of modulation going on. So I'm just going to switch that on now. I'm using the rotator which is like a Leslie cabinet simulator in Guitar Rig, but you can coax a very similar sound out of most old school chorus pedals, and get something, sounding like this. It really brings out that sort of couldn't stand the weather kind of tone, which is one of my favourite tones of Stevie's. Next we'll look at some typical Stevie-isms that he would tend to do. So for instance, if we're using the G minor pentatonic, and then we get to this note here, we know we can bend that up a tone. Like that. As a sort of tip of the hat to Albert King, what Stevie used to do would be to play that with an upstroke and catch the other strings that are also getting kind of shoved out of the way as you're bending that string there. So instead of, you get... That's a very kind of, as I say, Albert King, Stevie thing to do. Gary Moore would also do that a lot. Just really makes it wail like a banshee, which in a rather pleasing way. Stevie would often also use chordal fragments in his playing as well. I'm not going to turn this into a lesson on chord substitution, but if you're playing a C7 chord, then hiding in the upper extensions of a C7, once you start getting like C9 and C13 and stuff like that, you find other little triads in there, namely an A minor triad and a G minor triad, so you can play like that. So there's your G minor, there's your A minor, over that C kind of C7 tonality. That sounds very effective. And obviously the same thing again over the D, like that. And you could do it over the G. I didn't happen to do it in this example here, but we could have used like over the G. I could have used a E minor and D minor. So, once you learn that relationship, you can just put it in, and it sounds equally good as a rhythm guitar part, actually, but you can include it in solos. Another shape that Stevie would use a lot, little chord shape that he would use, is basically this A7 shape here, transposed up to whatever chord he was playing over at the time. So there it is there as a C7, and you'd often get... And you can see how that fits in nicely with that thing we've just been talking about. And then maybe, like, if you take this C9 chord here and take that up to the octave and just play the top part of it. Again, you hear that kind of thing in many of his solos and, as I say, rhythm guitar parts. Another thing that you'll find he would often do would be to, in like the first position, of the minor pentatonic, he would often use the flat 9 on the top E string. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's the root note there. That's your G. There's the flat 9, 1 fret above it. Really jazzy kind of idea, really. So you would access it typically like this. Go into some sort of lick where you're playing that kind of thing there, like that. And then bring in the actual major ninth there, like that. And then just do a little hammer-on pull-off from the root to the flat 9. That kind of thing. You hear that all the time in his playing. Double stops would often form a big part of Stevie's playing. You know, this little shape here, which is part of that minor pentatonic run. You know, so that kind of thing. Take it up a tone, and it becomes, you know, part of the C7 chord. So that's working over the G7. That's now working over the C7. Connect them chromatically. Great way of outlining the chord changes. Another double stop that he would like to do, that he would often do, and you see this sometimes in Robert Cray's playing as well, is where we're playing basically this pair of notes here, the 3rd fret and on the 3rd and 1st strings, and we play those using hybrid picking. So pick on the 3rd string, then this finger here on the top E string, and then keep this pedal tone on top with the G, and then go up to the C note at the 5th fret on the 3rd string, and then do a little kind of trilly kind of thing with the flattened 5th there, the C sharp or the D flat. All against that top E note there. He would sometimes do that down here as well by playing an octave. So there's a D note there, and there's a D note there, and he would often go playing the 2 D notes there, then ascend from the lower of the 2, and each note gets paired up, in that ascent gets paired up with the D note up here. Very, very Stevie. And yeah, if you start incorporating those elements there, let's sum them up again. We've got the minor pentatonic, obviously, with the chord specific notes like that. We've got the kind of wailing bend like that. We've got the double stops. And we've got the chordal fragments, and let's not forget the one of Stevie's signature things, which is just to go up to the sort of the root and 5th of the of whatever the key you're in. So we're in G here, so there's the root, there's the 5th, highest position you can find of it on the neck, and just go like that, and do a kind of nice glissando slide down the strings. You know, you find that sort of thing all over the place. So hopefully these little Stevieisms will enable you not necessarily to do an impersonation of a unique player, because what would be the point in that, but to just add a little bit of his flavour into your solos from time to time when the mood takes you. Now you know what to do. go away and have some fun with it. And as always, you'll find a full tab in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats for what I played at the beginning of the video there, that little Stevie Ray type solo, along with the backing track I was using and that explanation you've just seen there. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description. You know all this by now, but I've got to say it, $3 or about £3 a month gets you access to all of those additional goodies that go along with these YouTube videos. And a massive heartfelt thank you to everyone who supports me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are downstairs in the description. And that's pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video, found it entertaining, useful and informative, and anything else that you can say about it. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. And don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. Beer and chat on a Friday, that's all it is. That's all it needs to be. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.